All right, here we go. Redlining already. Here we go. Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, I guess. Hey, Google, turn off, please. No more peace, dog. It is question period, and it's political war, dog. We have been poached. They've been boiled. They've been poached. Lori is not has left the NDP. Be a second here. Yeah. Yeah, so the NDP have had a very, very rough night. I'm gonna put on in a minute the NDP, the temporary NDP leader, MP Davies. He spoke for about a minute. Pierre, the CBC lifted a comment off of Pierre. I'll read that article. And well, basically that's I guess that's it. So in about 20 minutes we'll be on Parliament. But there's quite a bit. Oh, these people are they visitors? They're like, hey, should we be here? we lost our tour group. Just kidding, of course. All right. Just waiting on the other. Okay, so here's CB. Oh, do we got somebody? No. Thought we waiting for someone to take some question. Hey, no. Oh, here we go. We got. Oh, no, we don't. All right, I'll read that article. Pierre. Okay. Yeah, if the you got security, proper security, which is good. After that incident years ago, it's years ago now. I almost forgot about it. All right, so that's oh, look, there's a room full of them. Good. So when you go there and you make a fuss, you go down hard. That third guy does the pile driver on you after they're already got you down. Okay, sorry, I'm being silly here. Liberals elated while Poilievre accuses Carney of backroom deals after NDP defection. Another opposition member defects to the governing party. This is by John Paul Tasker. Well, there's a Liberal MP. No, she's dodging. She's a hard worker, or rumored to be a hard worker, I should say. Smiling broadly, Prime Minister Mark Carney welcomed MP Lori Idloot. Choose a caucus. Oh, here we go. Here we got Conservatives very upset.
There have always been conflicts abroad, and rarely have we seen them spill into our streets the way that we have since this Liberal government has been in power. We now know from the Iranian community right across the country, from many others, that there are hundreds of IRGC agents presently on Canadian soil, using Canada as a safe haven to organize and to fundraise and to terrorize diaspora communities right here at home. We have seen now critics of the Iranian regime from out west, an investigation now being treated as a homicide. Somebody who is critical of that regime. We see constantly, in particular, particularly as an MP from a region who represents many in that community on a weekly basis, those calls coming into our office.
Sorry, we're in a thunderstorm.
At all levels of government, including authorities, that they are terrified of living within their own communities. The hundreds of agents that are here today live in Canada with complete impunity, and we have a Liberal government that has done absolutely nothing to stop it. We've seen violence against businesses, gunshots into Iranian activist businesses. We've seen terrorism in the Jewish community. We now are amongst nations that lead the world in attacks against Jewish institutions. Today, we are calling on the government to table a plan to get rid of these terrorists that are on Canadian soil.
Thank you. Earlier this week, on Monday, at the Citizenship and Immigration Committee, we had government officials in front of us talking about just giving, frankly, abysmal answers on the lack of action from the federal government and their capacity to keep Canada's streets safe by both preventing Iranian regime officials from entering Canada and then also taking action to deport senior Iranian officials after the CBSA has identified them. Just a couple of things before we get into the rationale for why we're calling on the Liberal government this week to table a plan within a week to do a variety of different actions. You know, we just had the public safety minister come out here and sort of play bingo with the number of suspected Iranian regime officials that are in Canada. Like that sends a message of a lack of seriousness and a lack of safety to, as my colleague mentioned, many different communities across the country about both the government's willingness and ability to keep them safe. So today the Conservatives are calling upon the Liberals to table a plan within 1 week to do the following: urgently enforce deportation orders for Iranian regime officials and block Iranian regime officials involved in terrorism or crimes against the Iranian people from seeking safe haven in Canada. Disrupt efforts in Canada to launder money and finance the regime's terrorist activities. Coordinate Canada's sanctions on the Iranian regime to ensure effective compliance. Evaluate Canada's terrorism threat level, which has remained unchanged since 2014. Identify any gaps in Canada's national security legislation which may be exploited by regime agents. Finally, complete the establishment of Canada's foreign influence registry and stop approving any refugee claims without an in-person interview. This builds upon action that we called for in a motion that we plan to table at committee on Monday. We are going to continue to push the government to pay more than lip service on these items, and we do expect the government to respond to our call for a plan within the week.
Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Donc, depuis trop longtemps, on voit des conflits qui ont lieu à l'étranger s'importer ici même au Canada. On a des actes de violence à Toronto, Montréal, en particulier contre la communauté juive, et différents autres actes de violence. Parmi eux, nous savons qu'il y a des hauts responsables du régime iranien, plusieurs centaines d'entre eux qui sont ici même au Canada. On sait même...
It's thought to be like a bloc liberal kind of split of a riding. Are the Conservatives doing anything different in that riding to try and stop a majority from happening?
Actually, are you talking about Turban? And she's there to knock on doors, to tell the people of Turban that we have a good message for them, the message of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative team. So actually, we're there to fight for that election. That's it.
Will you be funneling, for example, more money into Terrebonne? Like I know that there's sort of a national funding cap. Will you be funding more money into Terrebonne in order to stop a Liberal majority from happening?
We don't have to stop or to do whatever. for the Bloc or the Liberals. Actually, we're doing our own campaign. We have a candidate there, and we have 3 by-elections anyway, so we have to fight everywhere to win. Thank you.
Madame Lanzmann, est-ce que vous avez une chance de remporter une des 2 circonscriptions pour la partielle?
Look, we run conservative candidates in every election to give voters the opportunity to choose an MP that will represent them in the House, to represent a riding where we can have more affordable food, we can have affordable homes, we can build a resilient Canada that stands on our own 2 feet, that is strong at home and unbreakable abroad. We're very proud of the candidates that we'll be fielding in the election, and we look forward to them connecting with as many voters as they can.
Oh, so it looks like he meant to say 3, not 2. There was 2 new ridings, 3, sorry, elections coming up. And so that's kind of basically this scrum. Sorry, it cutting out. Hopefully, I'm going to get the other feed. We can delay it back about 10 seconds so we don't have this feed problem. There we go. Oh, very warm in here. Yeah, okay, so there's your scrum.
Can I add to that as well, too?
Here, she's going to add.
As it relates to immigration proceedings, what we over the last several years is that people who have been, non-citizens who have been involved in very senior activities for the Iranian regime. So, for example, there was a case where
Okay, so it was the feed. It wasn't me. It was the feed. So that's the end of that.
There was a man who was involved in running a Iranian
The stream just ended.
Sponsored propaganda newspaper. He also held senior positions within the Friday Imams Council, and also held a senior position in the Supreme Leader's UAE office.
Oh, here we got a video.
To welcome Lori to our conference. It is a great pleasure. One of
Prime Minister, Light.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm very honored to welcome Lori to our conference. It is a great pleasure. One of Canada's greatest constituency MPs. You represent a riding that is the size of Mexico, and very down to earth. And we've had conversations about what we can do, both large and small in Nunavut, large projects, but also helping everyone get ahead. D'être une députée avec Laurie, elle va être au sein du caucus libéral à partir de maintenant, une députée extraordinaire à l'échelle du communauté. Elle représente une circonscription aussi vaste que le Mexique, avec élan et avec détermination, et nous
All right, so that's the new MP. Yeah, that's their new MP. The NDP they have acquired another MP. Oh, yeah, the NDP have lost one, so there's only 6 MPs, I believe. And then, well, you know. We got the by-election coming, and the polls say that 2 of the 3 the Liberals will most likely win. So it looks to be most likely a majority, unless the Conservatives can pull off another amazing win.
RCMP, please move.
To be so warmly welcome.
What specifically?
Officer.
RCMP, please move. Please. Thank you.
Just going to replay that. It's only 1 minute, so I'm going to replay 1 minute here.
It is a great pleasure. One of Canada's greatest constituency MPs. You represent a riding that is the size of Mexico and very down to earth. And we've had conversations about what we can do, both large and small, in Nunavut. Large projects, but also helping everyone get ahead. So, all for Canada, Canada for all. C'est un grand plaisir. Je suis très honoré d'être une députée avec Laurie. Elle va être au sein du caucus libéral à partir de maintenant. Une députée extraordinaire à l'échelle du communauté. Elle représente une circonscription aussi vaste que le Mexique, avec élan et avec détermination. Et nous allons travailler ensemble pour le Nunavut et pour le Canada.
Are you disrespecting the democratic process? Is this disrespectful?
Process and allow the deputies.
Lori, what did the government say to get you to cross the floor? What did they tangibly promise you? More consultation, specific asks? Like what incentivized you?
Like with any complicated issue, it wasn't just one thing that happened. There are a variety of many things that have allowed me to really reflect on this, and I'm very thankful to be so warmly welcome.
What specifically?
Officer.
RCMP, please move. Please. Thank you.
Okay, just pause for a second. See how great this is, right? Yeah, sir, we got to start. That was, she seems to be, shy. She's going there. Do you see how the Liberals, they are elated today? If they're not elated, they basically it's a tie in the House. 170 to 170. The Liberals have one side, the Bloc, the Green, the NDP, and the Conservative together have 170. So it's basically a majority, as they can convince. Well, MP May's sometimes she's been a little tougher lately, but it's been historically fairly easy to convince MP May to go along with some Liberal policies, right? Well, that's what we have there. Pierre is very well. They don't. The Conservatives don't like it, obviously. Yeah. Okay, so here's the article. We'll put this on in a second. I'm just smiling broadly. Prime Minister Mark Carney welcomed MP Laurie Idlut to the Liberal caucus on Wednesday after convincing yet another opposition member to defect to the governing party. A political coup that brings him one step closer to a majority government. Like I said, now it's at 50-50. Speaking briefly to reporters on Parliament Hill, which we just watched, with Idlut by his side, Carney said the former New Democrat is, quote, one of the greatest constituency MPs who has ably represented Nunavut, a riding is as big as Mexico, but as a small fraction of the people. He said that Idlut is, quote, very down to earth, unquote, and together we will work on projects, large and small in Nunavut. Edlut said that there wasn't one overriding factor that pushed her into the Liberal fold. Quote, like with any complicated issue, it wasn't one thing that happened, end quote, she said when asked why she made the switch, and she carries on, a variety of things have allowed me to really reflect on this, and I'm thankful to be so warmly welcomed, end of quote. Idlet flirted with joining the Liberals for months, even though she has been a fierce critic of the government's policy at times. In January, she said she wasn't ready to make the jump. Last week, she appeared, I think, at a campaign rally for Avi Lewis, who was widely regarded as the frontrunner in the NDP leadership race. She offered what seemed to those in the room to be a half-hearted endorsement of Lewis. I truly am nervous about my influence, she told the assembled crowd in an Ottawa church. Then she met with Carney in his office on Tuesday, according to his spokesman, and formally set in motion the departure. In a written statement released by the Liberal Party, Idlut said that threats to Canada's sovereignty and pressures on the well-being of people throughout the North inspired her to join the government that can address those issues. Quote, Mark Carney is our first Prime Minister from the North, and at this turning point in our history, I am ready to work with him to build a strong future for Nunavut and for all of Canada, she said, referencing Carney's birth in the Northwest Territories. His defection means Liberals now have 170 MPs, just 2 seats shy of a majority government. The 3 federal by-elections will be held on April 13th. In 2 Toronto ridings and 1 in an island off of Montreal suburb, that the Liberals won by a single vote in the general. So, what do you think about that? Just, all right, so we got a couple more minutes. We got another scrum coming up here. I'll put the scrum up. So this is basically the chances of a Liberal majority are very high. It's like almost 100% right now. 2 of the 3 seats they won, but the one in Toronto and Montreal Island. Here's the NDP, what they had to say about it. It's only a minute or 2, so enjoy. It's not loading up. Yeah. They're definitely not going to be happy.
Good morning, everyone. The position of the New Democratic Party on Fleur Crossing is long-standing and... Good morning, everyone. The position of the New Democratic Party on Fleur Crossing is long-standing and clear. To us, the decision of voters at the ballot box is a sacred trust. And if a member of Parliament wants to override that decision, we believe they must go back to the voters and make that case to them and receive a renewed mandate. Any questions?
Was there anything that happened within the NDP caucus that would have pushed Lori out as opposed to drawing her to the Liberals?
Look, in these times, Canada needs New Democrats more than ever. People are losing their jobs. People can't access health care. They can't afford rent or to buy a house. They can't put food on the table. Working people are being left behind. And New Democrats will never stop fighting for working people and improving the lives of them across Canada.
But what does it mean for the future of the party? You're in a leadership race, and I'm sorry to point it out, but there's an MP behind you that's talking about leaving the party. So where does that leave you?
Well, I'm becoming increasingly concerned by the way that Mr. Carney is trying to stitch together a majority government in this country. Once again, to us, whether or not there's a majority government is fundamentally a decision of the Canadian people at the ballot box. and it should happen that way, not through backroom deals, cut behind closed doors in Ottawa.
Do you blame her for moving the Liberals, given the fact that you guys only have 6 seats? I mean, won't the priorities of her constituents be better served serving in a government?
I'm going to answer in French. C'est une décision profondément antidémocratique. Thank you very much. That's all we have to say on the matter. Thank you.
Okay. I got that song, Human. Was it Human? Geez, that guy's got a huge tattoo on his. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. More human than human, or no, something like that. Anyway, my name is Human. The NDP have the shortest press conference known to man. Okay, I'm going to call out poor politicking. There are a few times when the NDP will ever get the excitement of the press. They just aren't exciting right now at this point. It goes in ebbs and flows. The NDP, I think, they'll be back, right? Because of what he said, and he's 100% right. But they're just not interesting to media right now. And so you got to take them as you get them. As Hollywood people said, sometimes even a negative, like, you know what I mean, will get you publicity, will get you, And this is a negative, a major negative, and they're getting media attention. He could have diverted as much as these questions balls to the leadership campaign, so every reporter would be forced to slip in their report about the leadership of the NDP coming up, right, to remind everybody. He didn't do that. And I think he's a good politician, and I think what it is he's highly stressed right now, and he was concerned. This is my opinion. I think he was concerned he was going to say something unparliamentarian. Okay, I'm going to put that, we're going to play that one more time, and then we're going to go straight live to House of Commons, which is starting in 1 minute. Statements by members. Oh. I want you to note, someone has wet, squeaky shoes. And I think it's Davies, and the MP to his right from Winnipeg. She kind of laughs. You can just watch her. I gotta try to focus on her on this zoom in on her. It's funny.
Good morning, everyone. The position of the New Democratic Party on Fleur Crossing is long-standing and clear. To us, the decision of voters at the ballot box is a sacred trust. And if a member of Parliament wants to override that decision, we believe they must go back to the voters and make that case to them and receive a renewed mandate. Any questions?
Was there anything that happened within the NDP caucus that would have pushed Laurie out as opposed to drawing her to the Liberals?
Look, in these times, Canada needs New Democrats more than ever. People are losing their jobs. People can't access health care. They can't afford rent or to buy a house. They can't put food on the table. Working people are being left behind. And New Democrats will never stop fighting for working people and improving the lives of them across Canada.
But what does it mean for the future of the party? You're in a leadership race, and sorry to point it out, but there's an MP behind you that's talking about leaving the party. So where does that leave you?
Well, I'm becoming increasingly concerned by the way that Mr. Carney is trying to stitch together a majority government in this country. Once again, to us, whether or not there's a majority government is fundamentally a decision of the Canadian people at the ballot box. And it should happen that way, not through backroom deals, cut behind closed doors in Ottawa.
That's very, very odd. I don't think he means John Gord, whatever. I don't know who he meant behind him, who is considering going to the Liberals. Maybe that other Montreal candidate. It's possible there. Either way, okay. He put out a pretty good point though. Basically, like, hey, we have 5 people at the party. We're going to we're going to keep coming at it. We're going to keep questioning, and then I'm not sure. Well, let's see here.
Do you blame her for moving the Liberals, given the fact that you guys only have 6 seats? I mean, won't the priorities of her constituents be better served serving in a government?
I'm going to answer in French. C'est une décision profondément antidémocratique. Thank you very much. That's all we have to say on the matter. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The position of the New Democratic Party on Fleur Crossing is long-standing and clear. To us, the decision of voters at the ballot box is a sacred trust. And if a member of Parliament wants to override that decision, we believe they must go back to the voters and make that case to them and receive a renewed mandate.
All right, so now we're going to go live. There we go. That's what we got here, folks. We're going live. Straight to the live in the Parliament. Statements by members, and then question period. Just a second here. Yeah, he definitely was a highly upset. He thinks that they should go to the voters, and they say there's something about stitching together which a majority, which, he's got a point. All right, here we go. We are live in Ottawa, Parliament, House of Commons, Canada. You can visit there. I think it's still free.
I have the pleasure of welcoming the Minister of Health to my riding of Hamilton Centre. We began the day at Carol Inn's place at YWCA Hamilton, where we learned more about the essential low-barrier sports being provided to some of the most vulnerable members of our community. We then visited Womankind Addiction Service to see the important work being done to support women on their journey towards recovery and stability. We ended the day with doctors from Hamilton General Hospital and professors from McMaster University for a meaningful discussion about the future of healthcare and strengthening mental health sports in our communities. Mr. Speaker, Hamilton continues to emerge as a leading health sciences hub. With the dedication of our frontline workers, researchers, and community organizations, I'm confident that the work happening in Hamilton today will help build a healthier and stronger Canada tomorrow. Bravo. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Regina Louvain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last Saturday, my wife Larissa and I, along with my fellow Conservatives, the Honourable Members from Regina Wascana, Regina Capel, had the pleasure of attending the 32nd Annual Evening in Greece, a signature cultural fundraiser supporting the Hospitals of Regina Foundation and the Autism Resource Center. It's an amazing event filled with live music, outstanding Greek cuisine, and of course, the traditional breaking of plates. Put on by the St. Paul's Greek Orthodox community of Regina, over its 30-year history, the gala has raised more than $3 million to support healthcare and community programs in Regina and area. We keep this marked on our calendar every year because it's such an amazing event. A big thank you to the local Greek community, the sponsors, and calendar every year because it's such an amazing event. A big thank you to the local Greek community, the sponsors, and everyone who worked so hard behind the scenes to make this event a success year after year. Thank you very much.
Opa! The Honourable Member for Mississauga, Erin Mills.
Mr. Speaker, the story of women's rights is a story of courage and of persistence. From suffragettes who fought for our right to vote, to Olympians representing Canada, to women leading in STEM, generations of women have pushed our country forward. Today, under our Prime Minister's leadership, Canada now has the largest women's caucus in our history, something that we should all be proud of. But we also know that the work must continue. Women around the world still face barriers to leadership, wage gaps, and gender-based violence. Indigenous and racialized women continue to face even greater challenges. So while we recognize the progress that we have made, we must keep working until every woman and girl can live safely, lead freely, and stand equal in every part of society, because no woman should have to fight for the rights that she already deserves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Yellowhead.
Mr. Speaker, last week I attended the Rocky Mountain House Denim and Diamonds Chamber event, where Albertans' own Paul Brandt shared the powerful story behind the Not in My City organization and its mission to combat human trafficking in Canada. Founded in 2017, Not in My City has grown into a national movement that raises awareness, connects law enforcement and community partners, and equips Canadians to recognize the signs of exploitation. Today, more than 20,000 people have completed its training, and their team works with over 40 airports across Canada to help identify trafficking, which is often described as modern-day slavery. It's one of the fastest-growing crimes in the world, targeting some of the most vulnerable members of our communities. Awareness saves lives.
National Women's Day. And as such, I would like to talk about a woman of courage, faith, and determination, my aunt, who was named Rose Emma Lavoie, a nun by profession. She founded a girls' school in Haiti and ran it for over 20 years. Despite often difficult conditions, she taught much more than knowledge. She taught girls to believe in themselves, to assume their place in life, and to hope for a better future. Despite facing poverty, challenges, and a veritable tsunami of obstacles, her courage and hope never faltered. Towards the end of her life, she came back to Canada. She wanted to tell her story, talk about what she saw, talk about what she did, and most of all, talk about what she hoped for the young women she loved so much. Rose Emma was one of the greatest women my wife and I have ever known. Today, my daughter bears her name in her honor, Emma Rose, and I can tell you she is very proud of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, conflict in the Middle East is not new, but never have we seen it spill onto the streets of Canada in the way it has under the Liberal government. By politicizing foreign conflicts and pushing a soft-on-crime agenda, the Liberals have left Jewish and Iranian Canadians feeling unsafe in their own communities. Last week alone, 3 synagogues in the Greater Toronto area were shot at. Canadians have heard enough of the condemnations and the endless empty words. Words are not enough. The truth is that terrorists operate on
Yeah, great. There we go.
Yet successive Liberal immigration and public safety ministers have failed to stop hundreds of known active IRGC agents from living here. Why won't this government deport them now?
The Honourable Member for Trois-Rivières. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to rise today to mark World Plumbing Day. Plumbers play an essential role in ensuring the safety and well-being of our communities on a daily basis. Their work ensures that clean water flows into our homes, schools, and our workplaces every day.
Are also advancing water conservation, energy efficiency, and innovative building practices that support our environmental and economic goal. The plumbing and heating industry is a major economic driver, contributing more than $30 billion to Canada's GDP and supporting over 200,000 jobs nationwide. As Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, I want to thank plumbers, contractors, and industry leaders across Canada for the critical role they play in helping build the homes and infrastructure Canadians need. Your role is important, and we need you. Bonne journée mondiale de la...
Happy World Plumbing Day.
The honourable member for Airdrie Cochrane.
World Plumbing Day.
Around the world, countries are searching for secure and reliable sources of energy. Many, including Japan, South Korea, India, and Germany, have expressed a growing interest in Canadian energy. And Canada has the fourth largest oil reserves in the world and the ability to help meet that demand responsibly. Yet, despite years of promises, the government has not approved a single new pipeline to Tidewater. Their major projects office was supposed to speed up development, yet it has not approved a single project. Instead, Liberal policies like Bill C-69, the West Coast tanker ban, and endless regulatory delays continue to block Canadian energy from reaching global markets. Canada should be diversifying our energy exports so we are more resilient to instability abroad, and we reduce our dependence on the United States as our only customer by expanding access to global markets and allowing projects to move forward here at home. We can strengthen our economy, support Canadian workers, and ensure Canadian energy reaches the allies who are demanding it.
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, today I would like to pay tribute to a woman who left a major mark on life in Louisville, Ms. Françoise Augueplante. A municipal councillor from 2009 to 2025, she served with consistency and exemplary generosity for over 16 years. Recognized for her listening ear and her close relationship with her people, she argued with conviction for a number of essential files like the skate park levee, the return of Orléans Express bus service, and the merger of the municipal housing offices. A true pillar of community life, Ms. Augueplante also participated in a number of different organizations like the Association of People with Disabilities, the Maison du Commis Voyageur, and the Buckwheat Pancake Festival. Her career speaks of deep love for her people, and her memory will remain etched into the minds of the people of Louisville. To Ms. Françoise Augueplante, we say thank you. The Honourable Member for Sherbrooke. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Sunday, we celebrated International Women's Day. On International Women's Day, I celebrate us women and all of our essential contributions to the country we love so much. We also commemorate the incredible work of the women who came before us and who secured the rights we enjoy today. In many areas, women have shown unparalleled insight and perseverance, but for a long time, women were discriminated against and prevented from advancing in fields like sports. With the Olympic and Paralympic Games so present in our minds, I would like to take the opportunity to celebrate female athletes who have carried our flag with determination and courage. Among other people, I am thinking of Kim Bouten from Sherbrooke, who earned 6 Olympic medals and is tied for the most decorated female Canadian athlete in the history of the Winter Olympic Games. I would also like to pay tribute to Lynn-Marie Bilodeau, the youngest athlete at the Beijing Paralympics, who won 3 gold medals at the Canada Games. Through these women, we celebrate all women. Their triumphs and their ambitions are our own.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Canada cannot control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies here at home that are making life more expensive. Under the Liberals, Canada tops the G7 in food inflation and is the only shrinking economy. And the most vulnerable Canadians are the ones that are left to pay the price. 1 in 5 Canadians over 50 are now living in conditions comparable to the poverty line. After years of Liberal deficits and rising taxes, the seniors of Abbotsford South Langley, the very people who helped build this country, are struggling to afford basic needs. Yet the Prime Minister is pushing ahead with his rebranded carbon tax, the Clean Fuel Standard, and his industrial carbon tax, passing higher prices onto those who produce our food and goods, and ultimately onto all Canadians. These costs are imposed here at home, not abroad. When will the Prime Minister take responsibility for the policies he controls and scrap the taxes making life more unaffordable for all Canadians, especially our seniors?
Yes. The Honourable Member for Argenteuil-la-Petite-Nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Welder and pipe fitter. Aujourd'hui, je souligne.
Today, I would like to mark World Plumbing Day, which is celebrated every year on March 11th. This day reminds us of the crucial importance of plumbing to the health, safety, and well-beings of all our communities all throughout the country.
World Plumbing Day gives us the opportunity to recognize the outstanding work of Canada's plumbing professionals. whose expertise ensure that clean water, safe water reach our own businesses and public institutions.
Plumbing professionals play a key role in modernizing our water systems, saving energy, and conserving water. Their commitment and innovation contribute directly to the safety and resilience of our communities.
The plumbing and heating sector is also a major economic driver. It's over $30 billion to Canada GDP and supporting more than 200,000 jobs across the country. Je tiens à remercier.
I offer plumbers a sincere thank you. Your essential work keeps our water systems safe, effective, and sustainable.
The honourable member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, there are heroes among us today, and if it were not for them, a life would have been lost. 2 days ago, a member of my office suffered a sudden medical emergency, and in those critical moments, Parliamentary Assistant Elena Yazdani, Constable Maxime Patry-Levine, Constable Sargason, and many other members of the Parliamentary Protective Service acted immediately. Because of their courage, quick thinking, and medical training, a life was saved, and I'm happy to report he is doing very well. In the hospital, the doctor had told me if there was not a defibrillator on site, a tragedy would have occurred. I would like to also thank my colleague from Lanark Frontenac for his endless work on advocating for access to defibrillators. We need more defibrillators in public spaces. Simply put, they save lives. I ask all members of this House to join me in recognizing and thanking the PPS, police, emergency services, and the heroes that we have here today.
The honourable.
Well, looks like question period is just starting. Everybody's feed should be down bad. It's the feed from Ottawa. They're getting a storm.
Leaders, caregivers, business owners, teachers, and volunteers who help build a stronger and more compassionate country. Let us remind to continue working toward equality and opportunity for all women and girls across Canada and around the world. Because when women have access to opportunity and stability, our entire communities thrive. Let us continue working toward a more equal and prosperous future for all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Last month, residents from across Ottawa learned
Pierre, that's rare.
Lowell Green. Lowell was the voice of the common people in the Ottawa Valley on CFRA. Day after day, he would fill the airwaves with the truth that no one else had the courage to speak. He was the voice of the hard-working majority that were so often forgotten by those in power. But it wasn't just his radio show that kept people loving him for 5 decades. He also co-founded Big Brothers of Ottawa, so that now it becomes one of the longest-standing charities that serves children in the capital. His work led to generations of mentors and mentees, bringing up the next generation. Lowell's dedication also helped raise money for the Help Santa Toy Parade, so everyone would have a gift at Christmas time. He helped save the Centennial Flame, Mr. Speaker, and he raised money for countless other charities. As we join with all of the listeners, the family members and friends, we say rest in peace to the legendary Lowell Green, and may his wonderful legacy live on in the capital and across the country.
The honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, 5 years ago yesterday, this House adopted a motion declaring March as Irish Heritage Month. In 1847, Irish immigrants arrived on our shores. They were sick, they were hungry, they were dying. What did Canada do? We welcomed them. The Irish have helped build this country. Our first Governor General from Ireland, our second Governor General from Ireland, our current Prime Minister from Ireland. When Lester Pearson commissioned our new flag, he topped a man by the name of Patrick Reed, who had fought alongside Canadian soldiers in World War II, and the red maple leaf ensign was on their shoulder, and that's what inspired the flag design which we fly so proudly today. When we walk out the doors of this building onto Wellington Street, it's a street named after a man who was born in Grafton Street in downtown Dublin. Canada and Ireland are two great friends. They're two great allies. They share values. There's so much more to do. Mr. Speaker, I want to celebrate this month because Canadian-Irish history is Canadian history. Sláinte, Mr. Speaker.
I let the honourable member go a little over time, but that's the Irish part of me that allowed that to happen. Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable leader of the opposition.
Only two types of people, those who are Irish and those who wish they were, Mr. Speaker.
The Prime Minister flip-flopped 4 times on Iran, Mr. Speaker. But here, these flip-flops are even worse. The Liberal government is denying a report from Global News that says that there are 238 regime agents here in Canada. And when we see terrorist attacks on, but only one has been regime that are here in the Liberal government. The Prime Minister flip-flopped 4 times.
I put it back.
On Mr.
Sorry
Speaker.
there.
But here, these flip-flops are even worse. The Liberal government is denying a report from Global News that says that there are 700 agents of the Iranian regime that are here in Canada. Yesterday, they admitted that 239 of them have had their visas withdrawn, but only one has been removed. So there are about 238 regime agents here in Canada. And when we see terrorist attacks against synagogues and elsewhere, we wonder, will the Prime Minister flip-flop again, or will he explain to us how many agents of the Iranian government are here threatening Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very serious situation. The government has already prevented 10,000 Revolutionary Guard members from this country. There are 170 investigations underway, and as the Minister of Public Safety just said, there are 28 that are currently being reviewed intensively.
The opposition. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister had 4 flip-flops on Iran in just the same number of days. This is a pattern. He's also flip-flopped on oil and gas. He wrote a book called Values, in which he said he wanted to keep 50% of our energy in the ground. He said in that book he wanted to raise carbon taxes, and then he claimed on that. While he's since kept in place every anti-development law that Trudeau passed, he has renamed the carbon tax, and he's brought in an industrial carbon tax that has driven away an $8 billion project. So will he flip-flop again, reverse these Liberal policies so that we can actually supply the world with the energy it needs in this critical time?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate receiving this gift on this day honoring Ireland. Canada is increased at record levels our oil exports. Canada has approved under this government Silicim. Canada has approved and started one of the biggest LNG. Canada is working to the lowest carbon LNG and the lowest carbon oil exports in the world. We'll maintain and increase our competitive position. We're driving straight forward.
The
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, he's driving in circles. He said that he did not want, he wanted to keep 50% of our oil in the ground. He supported blocking the pipeline to the Pacific. He's not approved a single oil pipeline, and his major projects office has not approved a project of any kind. He's just tried to take credit for a project approved by Prime Minister Harper and to claim credit for the Canadian Pacific Railway. So will the Prime Minister flip-flop again? Reverse his support of an industrial carbon tax, the Liberal anti-development laws, and get out of the way so that we can build pipelines to the Pacific, power paychecks for our people.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said in my book, as it is the policy of this government, we want the lowest risk.
Yeah, apologies again. The feed is a bit off. But it's definitely a good back and forth we got going today between Pierre and Prime Minister Carney.
The lowest carbon, the lowest cost oil and gas, and that's what makes ours competitive. That's the story of Canadian LNG. That's the story of the MOU with Alberta. That is the story of Bay du Nord. That is how you drive the country forward, not off a cliff like the member of.
I'm hearing a little too much of the member for Vernon Lake Country Monastery. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the world cannot put meaningless pieces of paper and meaningless MOUs in their gas tanks. They need real energy that comes out of our ground. The Prime Minister said he wants to keep it in the ground. And yet today we had the hilarious spectacle of the Liberal Natural Resource Minister saying Canada will do what it can to help with its stockpiles for the current energy shortage. Our stockpiles are zero, Mr. Speaker. So will the Prime Minister flip-flop again, adopt my policy that we should have a strategic Today we had the hilarious spectacle of the Liberal Natural Resource Minister saying Canada will do what it can to help with its stockpiles for the current energy shortage. Our stockpiles are zero, Mr. Speaker. So will the Prime Minister flip-flop again, adopt my policy that we should have a strategic oil and mineral reserve so that we can supply the world in the future?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's many policies of the member opposite I will not adopt. One of them is flip-flopping, jumping around, searching for ridings every election. The second thing I will not adopt is the importance of having the most competitive oil and gas in the world. Our oil exports have never been higher under this government, over 5 million barrels per day, and they will increase because they will be low carbon, low cost, low risk. Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, sometimes he makes it too easy. Today we have zero oil stockpiles. We have a strategic maple syrup stockpile, Mr. Speaker, which the Prime Minister could use to put maple syrup on the pancakes that he flip-flops on. But, Mr. Speaker, we don't have any oil to supply to the world in the time of this crisis. Will he reverse the anti-development policies that he has supported that has come from the previous Liberal government in order to unlock our production, power the world, and the paychecks here at home?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is the way the G7 oil reserve works. If you're an importer, you have to have an oil reserve. If you're an exporter, which Canada is under this government, if you have record exports, which Canada is under this government, that is how you supply the world. I salute the work of the Minister of Natural Resource and the Minister of Finance, working with G7 counterparts, confirmed with my G7 leader counterparts today to release 400 million barrels from that strategic reserve.
to release 400 million barrels of oil from that strategic stockpile. How many of those are coming from Canada? Exactly zero. And the Prime Minister's excuse, the reason why we have no stockpiles, he says, is because we're a producer of oil. This is exactly the opposite of logic. The United States is a producer of oil. They have stockpiles. We have reserves, which the Prime Minister is successfully keeping in the ground. Just last week, we saw an $8 billion project canceled under his watch. We're importing gas from Australia. Why won't he get out of the way so we can produce our own energy?
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite thinks he's on a rich vein, but he's tapping a dry well. Under this government, production has never been so high. Exports have never been so high. We approve Bay du Nord. We are working with the province of Alberta to produce the lowest cost, lowest carbon oil and gas. We are expanding our exports. We are expanding our future.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, 85,000 seniors have been unable to access their old age security benefits since the new QRAM computer system was implemented. Federal Government Employees Union is already referring to it as the new Phoenix. The cost overruns for the QRAM install are already close to $3 billion. This is 10 times more than SECLIC in Quebec, which caused a real scandal. And when we raise these issues, the minister accuses us of scaremongering. Is the Prime Minister taking the QRAM fiasco more seriously than his minister? And will he launch a commission of inquiry? The Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is the responsibility of Service Canada, and the facts are as follows. 7.7 million people who are having no problems with the software. It's working. There is a decrease of 10,000 people over the last week of these backlogs that have been addressed. Therefore, there are problems, but it is the responsibility of Service Canada to help these people. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, QRAM is a financial fiasco, but also for thousands of seniors for which it is a human tragedy, for whom it is a human tragedy. We have people who are going into debt to pay for their groceries, their rent, their bills, and the government continues to defend its decision to replace an outdated system with one that just doesn't work. Worry and anxiety is what thousands of seniors have been feeling since QRAM was implemented. Will this government, and particularly the Prime Minister, take this situation seriously and be accountable for it? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we take this situation and all situations seriously because we are in government. The words do not equate to facts. It is not a financial fiasco. There is a budget. The QRAM software follows the budget. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, quite a banker. $5 billion in cost overruns on top of the human cost for our seniors. It was supposed to cost $1.5 billion, and it's not over yet. We know because it's always more of the same. The costs keep climbing. There are private firms and consultants who must be laughing all the way to the bank, counting their piles of cash, as if this government didn't have an obligation to manage public funds properly, as if no one were accountable. I'd like to hear from the Prime Minister, when will there be an independent public inquiry into the QRAM fiasco? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's curious. The government has already offered a briefing on this to the Bloc. No response from them. They haven't responded to the offer of a briefing. There have been discussions in committees. Yes, it's quite interesting, isn't it? So it's a good idea to have a discussion prior to an investigation or an inquiry.
Honourable Member for...
Years the Liberals Liberals have known that there are hundreds of Iranian regime officials here in Canada. 239 had their visas cancelled, and yet we just learned that the government managed to remove exactly one of those. Their excuse? They might claim asylum. There are no flights to Iran. We must protect their privacy. Meanwhile, an Iranian-Canadian critic of the regime has gone missing, and police are now investigating that as a homicide. Why are the Liberals protecting terrorists, and when will the minister finally have them removed? Good.
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let's be very clear. Those who are senior members of the IRGC will be removed, Mr. Speaker. As we speak right now, there's 28 individuals who are facing removal. We're going through due process, and they will be removed, Mr. Speaker. But let's also be very clear that if the party opposite wants more information, the leader of the opposition can go get a security check, and we'll be more than glad to provide the requisite information for them to be accurate in their analysis, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, the minister knows there are 700 IRGC agents in this country, and those are just the ones we know about. The minister knows that dissidents are being threatened. He knows that activist businesses are being shot out, and he knows that intimidation is happening under his watch. And yet, after 3.5 years, the Liberals have deported exactly one of those terrorists. So will the minister commit to returning to this House within 1 week with a plan to expel more than just one regime activist?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Canada Border Service Agency is working diligently to ensure the safety and security of Canadians, including the removal of 28. Those are going through the process of being removed, Mr. Speaker. Canada has identified the IRGC as a listed terrorist entity under Canadian law. We have listed Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism. We will continue to ensure the security of Canadians by removing those who are inadmissible, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mahdi Naziri ran the Iranian regime's hardline propaganda newspaper and held other very senior positions within the Iranian regime. Yet the Liberals let him enter Canada on a visitor visa, and then they let him stay here. Earlier today, the minister claimed that Global News' reporting was false and that there aren't 700 Iranian agents in Canada. So I'll ask the minister to be clear. How many senior Iranian officials like Mahdi Naziri are in Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, there are 28 current ongoing investigations that are going through our legal system, and they are deemed to be senior members of the IRGC. Canada Border Service Agency is taking diligent effort to have them removed. But let's also be clear. We need to work with facts, Mr. Speaker. 700 IRGC members is not facts. It is contrived by the Conservative Party. But I will more than glad to offer a briefing to the Leader of the Opposition if he gets a security clearance, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The reality is that number was reported by a credible Canadian news outlet. The minister won't answer how many are here, and there's a loophole. There is a loophole in the law that allows senior propagandists, senior officials of the Iranian regime, like Mahdi Naziri, to stay in Canada. And the Liberals are just letting this happen. They're letting the IRB say, yep, senior propagandists, Iranian officials who subjugate women stay in Canada. The law needs to change. Will the minister agree to our common sense Conservative proposal to table within a week a plan to review these loopholes and ensure that officials are deported?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, there are some important pieces of legislation that are now going through the House for which the opposition has been filibustering and obstructing, Mr. Speaker. What we need right now is to be able to work together to ensure the safety and security of Canadians. The Canada Border Service Agency is working diligently on the removal of 28 individuals who are believed to be members of the IRGC. They will continue to investigate other credible information that goes to them, and we will continue to ensure the safety and security of Canadians.
Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have compassion over world events, and sometimes those world events spill onto Canadian streets. Such is the case with the situation in Iran. 3 synagogues in Toronto shot up within the last few days. 1 Iranian dissident kidnapped, and it's now a homicide investigation. Only 1 Iranian regime official has been deported. So the question is this: will the Liberals agree to table a plan within the next week to show Canadians how they will deal with this Iranian issue so Canadians can walk their streets safely?
Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable colleague raised a number of issues in his question. One is the reality that many communities are facing when it comes to violence committed against their community of faith. We are all aghast at the horrors of the shooting that's taken place against synagogues in Canada over the last number of weeks. But it's important that we take action to actually provide solace to the communities who are facing such serious public safety threats. This includes funding to help protect the institutions where people practice their faith and pray, but it also includes legislative efforts that will more severely punish hate crimes in this country, including hate crimes committed against communities of faith. Members of this House have an opportunity to support the Combating Hate Act to help provide such protection to communities. I hope we can count on theirs.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have known for years that there are Iranian regime agents that are here in Canada, yet this week we learned that they've deported only 1 of the 230 cancelled visa holders. And representatives of the Liberal government told the Standing Committee on Immigration they couldn't remove Iranian regime officials because they were allowed to apply for asylum and that their privacy had to be protected. Well, what is the plan to deport these scoundrels from our country? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Public Safety just expressed exactly what is being done to remove these individuals who are suspected of these actions. I would urge the colleague to support our Bill C9, which is before the House in our election platform. If I'm not mistaken, also in theirs, we committed to protecting communities of faith, temples, synagogues, mosques in Canada. Legislation is before this House. Will the member opposite and his colleagues vote in favor of this very electoral commitment they have? The member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. What we've heard from the Minister of Public Safety is very little compared to what he actually needs to get done. But today, we submitted some clear plans to the government. We're asking for the government to urgently enforce deportation orders against Iranian regime agents, assess the level of terrorist threat in Canada that hasn't been changed since 2014, stop approving any asylum applications without a face-to-face interview. Will the government table a plan in the next 7 days to take action against this Iranian regime here in Canada? Yes or no? Mr. Speaker, the government has designated that segment of the Iranian community as a terrorist entity. The Minister of Public Safety is taking serious measures to respond to the situation underway. But I repeat my question to the honourable colleague. He committed, like I did, like all of us, to protecting communities of faith in Canada, community centres, Jewish businesses and Muslim businesses, the temples, synagogues. Mr. Speaker, will the member and his colleagues answer yes, say yes to these communities? The honourable member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, the people of Terrebonne are concerned about expropriations related to the high-speed rail project, and they're right. Because in Bill C-15, the Liberals weakened the Expropriation Act specifically to limit the rights of landowners along the train route. The mayor of Terrebonne is demanding real public consultations. The Lanaudière UPA fears that our best farmland will be split in two and then abandoned. Everyone's concerned. Why are the Liberals facilitating expropriations and treating Terrebonne residents like second-class citizens instead of working to gain social license? The Honourable Minister of Transport. Mr. Speaker, the high-speed rail project is dream-worthy. It is a dream for residents in Terrebonne. It's dream-worthy for entire communities through Quebec and Ontario. We're going to be able to radically change things for the people in these regions. 40% of Canadians, including in Terrebonne, are for it. We will be respecting standards and ensuring social acceptability or license for sure, but we will certainly be moving forward with the high-speed rail in Canada. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, while the minister is dreaming over there to try to reassure people of Terrebonne, it's the CEO of Alto has confirmed to the media that there will be expropriations. It's not reassuring in the least. And he hopes, the CEO hopes, that it won't be their main tool, the expropriation that is. In other words, they'll make offers to Terrebonne residents along the route, and if they're not happy, Alto will use the tools provided by the Liberals under Bill C-15 to expropriate them. That's not agreement by mutual consent. Why don't the Liberals include Terrebonne residents in the project instead of threatening them?
Les Terrebonniens.
Mr. Speaker, the residents of Terrebonne, Quebecers, Ontarians, and Canadians all are dreaming of this technology. We will be doing this appropriately. We will consult landowners, consult with mayors, representatives, agricultural groups. We will do this with respect for all of these groups, and we will arrive at something that is high-end technology, that is the pride of Canada, that will change things for our communities. That is what high-speed rail is about, Mr. Speaker.
For York Centre.
Last week, 3 synagogues were shot at in Toronto. The war abroad is spilling onto our streets, while hundreds of Iranian agents are operating in Canada. Conservatives are calling on Liberals to table a plan within a week to enforce deportation of Iranian officials, to disrupt Iranian efforts to launder money, and reevaluate Canada's terrorism threat level. Will the Liberals stop the Iranian regime here at home, or will Canada remain a playground for the Revolutionary Guard?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, again, my colleague, like one of the previous questioners, raised the very real challenge of communities that are facing hate crimes, including synagogues that are being shot up in this country. We have efforts to intimidate and obstruct people from practicing their faith, not just at synagogues, but at temples, at mosques, at our churches. We need to do more to ensure that people can live freely, not just enjoy rights that are written on paper, that are actually enjoyed in communities. This includes adopting new laws that will criminalize certain behaviors that target people on the basis of their faith. We have an opportunity to support the Combating Hate Act to deliver this outcome now for Canadians. I hope that Conservative members will join us.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Speaker, shooting at synagogues is already illegal. Just like the Prime Minister, the Justice Minister is all talk, no action. Now an Iranian dissident is missing and police fear that he's murdered. Meanwhile, Canadians actually recognize an Iranian official at the gym. Conservatives are asking Liberals to table a plan within a week to reevaluate Canada's terrorism threat level, to identify gaps in our national security, and rid our country of IRGC. When will this Liberal government start protecting Canadians and finally deport those that are connected to the Iranian regime?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our security threat levels are assessed by our agencies, our law enforcement agencies, including the RCMP and CSIS. It is not politicians who assess those threats, Mr. Speaker, and that is a very good thing. But let me also say that Canada Border Service Agency is taking every effort on the removal of those who are inadmissible to Canada, who are members of the IRGC. There's 28 of them that are now going through the process. We will ensure the safety and security of Canadians, Mr. Speaker, and we will ensure that those who are inadmissible to Canada will be removed.
Member for Richmond Hill South.
Never have foreign conflicts spilled onto our streets the way that they have under this Liberal government. 3 separate synagogues were shot at in a week in the GTA. An Iranian dissident in BC has gone missing, and police are investigating it as a homicide. An Iranian dissident in Thornhill had his boxing gym shot up 17 times the day after organizing a rally in Richmond Hill. Canadians are watching violence and intimidation spread in their own communities while the Liberals sit back and do nothing. Will this Liberal government table a plan to take action against the Iranian regime operating here at home so that Canadians can feel safe on our own streets?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I've had the opportunity to visit 2 of the synagogues that were attacked last week, Mr. Speaker, and it is deeply heartbreaking to see that their sense of security has been breached. As a government, we're taking decisive action, including $10 million that was just announced to ensure the coordination of security efforts in
places of worship as well as other community centers within the Jewish community. But that's not enough, Mr. Speaker. We also have legislation in front of the House, which is C9, which the Jewish community has been asking for us to pass, and I urge the party opposite to pass it forthwith.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians don't need more photo ops, they need results. This week, we learned the Liberals have only removed one IRGC official after nearly 4 years. At the House Immigration Committee, Liberal officials said that they couldn't deport them because there were no flights to Iran and because they needed to protect their privacy. Conservatives are calling for the enforcement of deportation orders for Iranian regime officials, close loopholes which allow human rights abusers to be admitted, and crack down on the regime money laundering in Canada. I'm going to ask again, when will this Liberal government implement the Foreign Influence Registry, stop rubber stamping refugee claims without in-person interviews, and finally deport the regime agents terrorizing our community?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, as has been litigated during the debate in this chamber already today, the IRGC has been listed, and that carries with it certain consequences about the inadmissibility of certain individuals. Their files are reviewed, and people who are not allowed to remain in Canada will, in fact, be removed. The concern underlying the questions in the House of Commons today, though, have to do with the safety of Canadians, including the safety of Jewish Canadians to practice their faith freely during a context where synagogues are being shot up. There is a piece of legislation, the Combating Hate Act, Bill C9, that has been before this House. We have an opportunity to offer protection that communities are asking for. It is a shame that the party opposite will not listen to Jewish Canadians and do what they're asking.
The honourable member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's sovereignty is not negotiable, but foreign conflicts are spilling onto our streets. 3 synagogues have been shot up this past week. An Iranian dissident has disappeared and police think he may have been killed. But the Liberals are patting themselves on the back because they removed one Iranian official linked to the IRGC. There's hundreds more on our streets. The number one job of any government is to protect its citizens. They're not doing that. Will this Liberal government table a plan within 1 week to deal with the Iranian agents in our country, on our streets? It's about time to get that.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we do have a plan. That is why we listed the IRGC as a terrorist entity. This provides our law enforcement and CBSA with the tools to hold people inadmissible in our country and then remove them. CBSA is working through the files, and they are removing those with links to the IRGC, Mr. Speaker. This is the plan. Along with that, we are protecting our institutions. We just made an announcement for $10 million extra today to make sure that our religious communities are safe.
Honourable member for Nunavut.
I am proud to join a team that will take the larger picture of meeting the current political environment and is set on meeting the immediate needs of the North. Northerners know that food security is about more getting foods on the shelves. It is about addressing the cost of living, local capacity, and true food sovereignty. Can my colleague, the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, tell this House how our government is moving toward beyond food subsidies and creating a food economy for those that call the North home?
Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by welcoming the member of Nunavut to this side of the House. And I also want to acknowledge her strong advocacy for the North, and we know that a subsidy alone will not solve the food insecurity issue in the North. That's why we're looking at moving from a food subsidy to a food economy in the North. And this year alone, we have $200 million that is supporting the evolution of Nutrition North. We're concluding regional engagements at the end of the month with a Food Sovereignty Summit. So I look forward to working with my colleague.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Countless seniors in Newmarket
Time
Aurora
limits.
come up and tell me that they've had to leave
environment and find jobs because they're struggling to eat, heat, and afford a roof over their head. And this reality is backed up by data. A new survey from the National Institute on Aging revealed that 1 in 5 Canadians over the age of 50 are living near the poverty line and cannot even cover a $500 emergency. So when will the Prime Minister stop punishing seniors and scrap inflationary Liberal taxes that are making life so unaffordable?
You're here. The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, this is what Canadians understand. There's a major international war raging. Canadians understand that our allies' supply of energy and their national security are being threatened. Canadians also understand that our actions are limiting those shortages and reducing the impact on prices. Oil production is at an all-time high. Natural gas pipelines are full. Exports on the TMX pipeline are up 100% in the last year. Our LNG facility, the second largest in the world, is now shipping at capacity.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
To the member, during all my studies and over 15 years working in finance, there's one basic economic truth that always held. When costs go up, prices go up. When competition is fierce, prices come down. Yet during this food affordability crisis, the Liberals are inhibiting competition, all while piling on taxes and regulation on those who grow, ship, and sell our food. So when will this Prime Minister finally apply this basic economic fundamental, cut taxes and regulations so Canadians can get real relief at the grocery aisle?
The Honourable Minister.
What Canadians understand is when they have good-paying jobs, they can afford things. We are building LNG Canada. We are building Cedar LNG.
Yeah, there should not be anyone standing on this side. There should not be anyone standing. Only the minister should be standing responding. The Honourable Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, through the Major Projects Office, we are giving Canadians good-paying jobs. We are helping them afford the groceries they need, Mr. Speaker.
Here. The Honourable Member for Chatham-Kent.
Our farmers and fishermen are being punished with unreliable fertilizer supplies and a rising fuel tax to 17 cents that's driving up the cost of everything. Instead of supporting, the Liberals have shuttered agricultural research stations and fueled the G7's worst food inflation. It's outrageous that while he plays economist, 1 in 5 Canadians over 50 is now trapped in poverty, choosing between eating and heating. When will this Liberal Prime Minister accept responsibility for what he can control, scrap the Liberal taxes and policies that are making life unaffordable for Canadians?
Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, let me say it once again. Studies show that the impact of the industrial carbon price on the price of food is 0. But if we want to talk about how we're supporting Canadians and Canadian food security, the member from Chatham-Kent Leamington might be interested in what we're doing to support greenhouse production. It's a big thing in his area, helping farmers in his areas. We're supporting greenhouse farmers with investments and tax incentives to increase capacity and production. That will help Canadian food security. And if you want to talk about taxes, the first thing that this government did, we cut them.
Excellent. The Honourable Member for Chatham-Kent.
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you what 15 national ag organizations wrote to the committee. They wrote and said that closing ag research centres will undermine research that they say is fundamental to keeping food affordable. At the same time, the Liberal government is pushing ahead with their fuel tax, which is rising from 7 to 17 cents per litre, while also raising the carbon taxes on steel, aluminum, plastic and farm equipment. All of these Liberal decisions have a direct impact on Canada's ag sector, causing production costs to rise, which get passed on to Canadians at the grocery store. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad. When will these Liberals stop driving up food prices for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we can't continue down the path. We must change our direction and relevance to the research, Mr. Speaker. Let me quote some of the numbers, Mr. Speaker, over the past few years. The research and development system is becoming less diverse. Public investment in agriculture knowledge generation, which includes R&D, has declined by 15%. Private sector outsourced R&D to universities is down 77%. and the number of enterprises conducting research and development has shrunk by 30%. If the other side want to continue down this path, it will put us at an unfair advantage politically, economically, and universally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, a community member wrote to me about what they are seeing every day. Frail seniors standing outside grocery stores begging for help. Canadians lining up at food banks after a lifetime of work. The National Institute on Aging states 1 in 5 Canadians over 50 are now living at the poverty line. Many cannot afford groceries, heating their homes, essential goods and services, or even a $500 emergency. Rising costs are not driven by events abroad. They are the result of policies imposed here, at home, that continue to make life more expensive. Are the Liberals really telling Canadian families and seniors that they should just lower their standards and accept that life is permanently unaffordable?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected a government that they know they can rely on to support the social fabric of this country, including supporting our seniors. That's why we introduced legislation to reduce taxes for nearly 22 million Canadians. We made the National School Food Program permanent. We launched the Canada Disability Benefit. We ensured that old age security would continue for those who are 65. And let me tell you what seniors like Dava Houston are saying. I'm seeing a lot of talk from the Conservatives about the grocery rebate helping no one. As a senior, I disagree. This benefit is specifically targeted to help those of us on fixed incomes.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyandanaiga.
1 in 5 seniors can't afford necessities like food and housing. Women, renters, and seniors with health challenges are being hit the hardest, living at conditions comparable to the poverty line, Mr. Speaker. This Liberal government often blames global pressures when the fact is Canada has the worst food price inflation in the G7. Their Prime Minister's rebranded carbon tax, now increasing to 17 cents a litre, is a policy entirely within his control. Will the Prime Minister take responsibility, scrap the taxes and cut regulations that are driving up the food prices, and start making life more affordable for Canadians that are struggling?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Just yesterday, I heard a Conservative member of Parliament say that helping people was ideological. So maybe they should get together and talk to each other. Because if you think that helping people fix their teeth is ideological, or feeding a hungry kid at school is ideological, or cutting taxes is ideological, or having childcare that costs people $16,000 less a year is ideological, then I actually think you're out to lunch.
Speaker are out to lunch. Certainly not me. Certainly not. The member didn't mean me.
Buckley might be
we're talking about lunch. I'm getting hungry.
For Richmond Centre, Marlpole.
Mr. Speaker, what happens abroad may be beyond our control, but the Liberal policies making life more expensive are not. Our seniors are paying the price. Seniors being forced to work with retirement slipping further out of reach. The National Institute on Aging reports that 1 in 5 Canadians over 50 is now living on the poverty line. Yet the Liberals are making it worse by sneaking in carbon taxes that drive up the price of essentials. When will the Prime Minister take responsibility for what he can control and scrap the Liberal policies that are making life unaffordable for Canadians, including seniors?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The member talks about seniors who are struggling in his community. They're struggling in my community too. We have to acknowledge that. At the same time, what do we do to help those seniors? We put forward a serious plan for the future, an opportunities agenda that is focused on getting our resources to market, building up the infrastructure to do it. That's how you build an opportunities agenda, as I say, that has purchasing power attached to it because it leads to jobs. We talk about the programs, pensions that they want to cut, by the way. All of that relies on a strong economy. That's exactly what this government is focused on delivering.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-Chemin-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, according to the National Institute on Aging, 1 in 5 Canadians over 50 is now living in conditions comparable to the poverty line. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is pursuing his fuel regulations. The cost is going from 7 to 17 cents. When will the Prime Minister finally step up, stop denying reality, and get rid of these taxes that are making Canadians and Quebecers poorer? The Honourable Minister of Climate Change and the Environment. Mr. Speaker, once again, I must say very clearly that studies show that the industrial carbon tax does not cause food prices to go up. The impact is zero. Let me be very clear for everyone who's listening, but what we are doing is that we are investing in farmers throughout the country to ensure that we have good food for everyone in the country. The honourable member. Zero? Mr. Speaker, is actually their grade. Canada has the worst food inflation in the G7, and the government keeps ratcheting up the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, plastics, and agricultural equipment, which is making costs go up throughout the supply chain. When will the government finally get rid of these taxes on food so that Canadians can finally have a more affordable lifestyle? The Honourable Secretary of State. Well, I don't think our score is zero, Mr. Speaker. All that we've done since we were elected was to give more purchasing power to Canadians, especially seniors. Once again, the Canada Child Benefit, yes, that's not for seniors, but it does represent significant gain in purchasing power. And more recently, the groceries benefit will give people more purchasing power to help them face the current global situation, as everyone knows. The Honourable Member for Mont-Saint-Bruno-L'Acadie. Mr. Speaker, our government is working hard to help all Canadians find a place to live. Recently, a project for seniors opened in Drummondville. Can the Minister tell the House how this project will help seniors? The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. Thank you for the question. The Drummondville project is a real milestone for affordable housing for seniors, with 100 units now open. The new building is part of our efforts to make housing more accessible. It represents concrete progress to meet the needs of seniors in the region. And I would encourage all of my colleagues to support the Build Canada Homes Act to give us more tools.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, a peer-reviewed study published yesterday in a world-leading scientific journal found that closing a supervised drug consumption site led to no increase in deaths and no increase in emergency room visits. In fact, after the drug site closed, users were more likely to access life-saving addiction treatment. Every single drug consumption site in Canada exists only because the health minister approved them under federal law. The minister claims to follow science, so does she accept the science that proves consumption sites are not the solution to addiction?
Great.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Comme mon collègue le sait déjà, je l'ai répété plusieurs fois, il n'y a pas une seule solution pour résoudre cette crise. Et c'est sûr, il y a différentes recherches qui montrent plusieurs résultats.
L'interprétation ne fonctionnait pas. Est-ce que...
The interpreter apologizes. The microphone was off. Interpretation is back. From the beginning again, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I've told my colleagues several times, a number of different studies show different results on the matter of supervised consumption sites. And as my colleague knows, there is not one single solution to this question. Supervised consumption sites are there to save lives, which doesn't mean that we can't also have other kinds of treatment. Everything can be done at the same time.
Mr. Speaker, this is the first study in Canada to use individual-level linkable health data. That means for the first time, we can see exactly what happened to the people who use these sites. Every drug consumption site in Canada operates under an exemption granted by the federal health minister. So, if the research now says that closing a drug consumption site leads to more people getting life-saving treatment and no increase to deaths, why on earth is this minister still approving them?
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues should know that the exemptions are when the provinces that fund the supervised consumption sites fund those projects after consultation with their own stakeholders. As I've said before, yes, we are saving lives with these sites, but also we are working hard on treatment. The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, this is another failed Liberal drug policy experiment. The Liberals promised that injection sites would reduce overdose deaths. But in BC, deaths have skyrocketed by 400%. And in Quebec, deaths have doubled. More than 50,000 Canadians are dead. And now a key study from Alberta shows that closing an overdose prevention site did not lead to an increase in deaths, and in fact, more people eventually sought treatment. How many Canadians have to die before Liberals finally put an end to this? Admit that they made a mistake, and finally take a different prevention-based approach. The Honourable Minister of Health. Mr. Speaker, it's very clear that we can walk and chew gum at the same time, which means that at the very same time that we can save lives through supervised injection sites, we can also offer treatment and prevention programs. What's very clear is that we are working in close cooperation with all of the provinces in order to reduce drug consumption rates. And all of the numbers on drug-related deaths have gone down in Canada. I would just like to remind the member that we need to address the colleagues through the chair.
East Steveston.
Mr. Speaker, in 2025, the Port of Vancouver had a record-breaking year for exports, moving more Canadian goods to global markets than ever before. This is a point of pride for my city, my constituents in Richmond East, Steveston, who help power this success every day through their work in trade, transportation, and port operations. Could the Minister of International Trade update this House on what this record-setting year at the Port of Vancouver means for Canadian workers and for Canada's growing trade opportunities?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, the member for Richmond, BC has been a tireless champion for the Port of Vancouver and its workers. We're talking about 170 million tons of cargo, the highest in the port's history. That's more exports to China, South Korea, Japan, the Middle East, and more. Non-U.S. exports up by 17% in 2025, and we aren't stopping there, Mr. Speaker. We are signing record number of trade agreements to open new opportunities for the workers that are producing world-class products to get products out the door. This is how we build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Ponoka-Didsbury.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Liberals tried to clarify the rules behind their ridiculous gun grab scheme. Canadian soldiers deployed before the gun grab program started will return after the amnesty period ends. This means they have no opportunity to declare their firearms under this gun grab policy. Because of this, many armed forces members will return to Canada as criminals because the Liberals won't extend the amnesty period. This is very troubling. If the Liberals trust our deployed soldiers with the biggest guns we have, why on earth would they not trust them with their plinksters and turkey guns when they get home?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the over 42,000 firearms that have been enrolled, Mr. Speaker, on the compensation program. Those correspond to individual law-abiding gun owners who are going to abide by the law, Mr. Speaker. The amnesty period, as you're aware, expires on October the 30th, and I look forward to ensuring that those law-abiding gun owners get the compensation that they deserve.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
The minister told a story about living within a lie in Davos and said the power of the less power starts with honesty. Former Liberal cabinet ministers Alan Rock and Lloyd Axworthy, who are honest with Canada's complicity in the killing of civilians, have come out publicly
in support of Bill C-233. They said Parliament now faces a clear choice: maintain an outdated exemption that undermines Canada's credibility, or adopt a modern principles statement that reflects our commitments and responsibilities. Will the Prime Minister be honest with reality and vote yes to Bill C-233?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, actually, the government opposes this bill. Canada has one of the strongest export regimes in the world, with human rights considerations applied to every single permit issued for military goods. The changes proposed in this bill would decimate Canada's defence industry, would weaken Canada's role in NATO, and would jeopardize the capabilities of our Canadian Armed Forces. This bill does not close a loophole, Mr. Speaker. It creates new vulnerabilities. It is irresponsible to propose a bill like this.
I wish to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of Mr. Dara Kaliri, Minister for Social Protection and for Rural and Community Development, and the Gaeltacht of Ireland. It being
Okay, that's what we got, folks. That was question period. That was a pretty fairly good one. We had Pierre, we had Mark Carney. See, Carney got a bit of in a bit of hot water for not showing up to the late night debate on Iran. That was the emergency debate that all MPs love to do. It gives an opportunity to the backbenchers and the leaders to speak on a certain issue. It gives everyone an opportunity. And it's kind of a bipartisan, usually, event. Not always. Unless it's like all of the parties against one other party. Right? And so it's just something like that going on. I thought it was a pretty good question period. A lot back and forth. But Carney, he's going to show up from now on. He's just going to he's going to start showing up for the next little while. Why? Because he's not going to get a little hot water, question word. Why didn't you show up? And blah 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 blah. But it was a fairly good. Like I said, he took a lot of. Hutchins took a bunch of questions. The Conservatives moved on from some of the other issues of immigrant, there were less harsh issues, I'd say. But the big news of the day is that the Liberals should be on cloud 9 because they have, tied. They basically tied. It's 170 to 170. Them against every other party. They just got an end of the NDP. And then in the questions was one of the reporters said apologies about it. He was really, really polite about it. But isn't another MP behind you? So I'm not sure which MP he was talking about. Another NDP MP that's considering going to the Liberals. I was like, of the NDP, and the guy's like, that's it. Questions over. And like 30 seconds earlier, he's like, questions? Yeah. Poor guy, man. The NDP, NDP Don Davey, he has like the hardest job holding together the three pieces of a ship of tons. He's got, 1 kilogram of a ton. He's holding it together. Not, looks like maybe another one. Another one may be going. So that's pretty good. That would give the Liberals the majority, and the Pierre is already calling it out, saying, he's stitching this together kind of thing. This isn't bureaucracy. But most likely they'll get the majority April 18th. In a month and a week. So in 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks, they most likely will have a majority anyway. But maybe not. Elections, we hold elections for reasons, or else we just have polls, right? Excuse me. So that's what we got. I would like to have a good day. Oh, I'm going to do the quiz. Forget the quiz. Yeah, we got the quiz. Questionnaire. Who won? Yeah. We got the Hanwha submarine on the advertising. So we had Pierre maybe making a statement. I'm just looking this up right now. So Pierre may be making a statement, or someone else maybe, because an NDP leaving is good, and the NDP only did 1 minute earlier, so possibly they'll do more. They'll be more prepared. So Pierre may be making a statement, or someone else maybe, because an NDP leaving is good, and the NDP only did 1 minute earlier, so possibly they'll do. Oh, I didn't realize that it was so bad, the echo on this microphone. This is an old microphone. I got this one. Doesn't have the same vocal range. But it doesn't have the sound of the ringing in your ears. I guess, well, if I had more... I got this one. Doesn't have the same vocal range. Flora Crosser, Laura Q. She may be. I think she may be looking at the polling, and the polling is really going hard towards the Liberals right now. The polling, I can pull it up, but the polling is big for Liberals all the way around the House. And the Conservatives are losing a little bit of support to the Liberals. The Greens, everybody's losing support to the Liberals right now. At this point in time, So let's see what we got. I almost shut off the stream without closing the poll. Oh, we got a tie. All right. If there is anybody out there who hasn't, we need a tiebreaker. It's possible we could have a three-way. Jinx her. She's straight up lying to the people. Is she? What is she doing? I think, all right, I can't vote, I guess. You son of a. Why can't I vote? I don't get a vote. No. No suit for me. So we have a tie, bagged milk and Hawaiian pizza. What is the best of the Canadian? Of these four, of course, is not the best Canadian foods, but people really enjoy, according to this very, very huge poll. Ketchup chips is number 3. Number 4, beaver tails. Beaver tails are those things. They're down. The first time I saw them was down east. I don't know why they call it down east. I guess because that's where the water goes. Down east. I guess. So, they look like a beaver tail, a pastry donut-y thing. With sugar coatings and frosting, and you can get all kinds of stuff, chocolate on it. You can get it ridiculous. They're very good. They're very dangerous because the calorie content. Like, subscribe, and comment. Bagged milk is so popular in Canada. You say bagged milk in the States, and they're like, what is that? What? Was it? Yeah, no, we like a bagged milk. And then you say the same thing. You order, can I get a Hawaiian-style pizza? In the States, and they have no idea. You go to Hawaii, order a Hawaiian. They don't know what a Hawaiian is. They're like, what? A Hawaiian? You say, yeah, pineapple and ham. They're like, oh, sounds good. We eat a lot of pineapple. We eat a lot of ham. But we don't put that on our pizza. It's a Canadian thing. Ketchup chips. What do you put on things you deep fry? Okay, potatoes. Let's put potatoes in a deep fryer. Pull them out. Salt them. What flavor naturally comes to mind? The ancient Chinese condiment of ketchup, commonly known as ketchup. Yeah. Why are we the first to come on? When the when the Brits came up with the deal, they're like, okay, we're gonna put potatoes in this deep fryer, and then we're gonna salt them, and then we're gonna put a flavor on them. You know what they came up with? Shrimp, krill, if you will. They're like, yeah, we're gonna make these things shrimp flavor. Like, what is wrong with you? What? Like what? Shrimp potatoes? No. They really just didn't get it. It's like it's more like one of the things like how they had red dye and they all became redcoats because they had a surplus of dye. It was probably like one guy had just a surplus of like shrimp flavor. Try it with this. Yeah, it's good. Disgusting if you ask me.